We live in a world that thrives on speed. It's a place where success is often measured by how fast we can get things done, how quickly we can climb the ladder, and how efficiently we can keep up with the endless demands of life. Our modern society pushes us to constantly strive, to always be moving forward, and to avoid slowing down. But in this race to achieve, there's something crucial we often overlook: the power of pause. The truth is, in a world that encourages relentless motion, it's in the stillness that we find our greatest clarity. There's an old saying that goes, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. It's in the pauses of life that we hear the things that truly matter: our own thoughts, our inner voice, and the wisdom we so often neglect when we're caught up in the whirlwind of busyness. You see, pausing isn't about doing nothing. It's about choosing to do something powerful. It's in these moments of stillness that we can step back, reflect, and gain the clarity we need to move forward with intention. Far too often, we equate motion with progress, but it's important to understand that not all motion is productive. Sometimes, the most effective step you can take is the one you don't take at all. Let's take a moment to consider the impact of this in our daily lives. How many times have we been caught in a cycle of rushing, feeling the pressure to act without fully thinking things through? We act out of fear, out of urgency, or even out of habit. The fear of missing out, the pressure to be seen as productive, the constant need to show that we're moving forward. These are all forces that push us into action without proper reflection. And yet, how many times have we taken action too quickly, only to realize later that we didn't make the best decision? How many times have we wished we had paused for just a moment longer to think things through? There's power in that pause. It's not a passive state, it's an active choice to give ourselves space to gather our thoughts, to understand our emotions, and to assess the situation with a clearer mind. When we pause, we allow ourselves to break free from the grip of external pressures and to focus on what truly matters. In the silence, we are not wasting time. We are investing in our own clarity, in our own understanding of what's happening around us, and in the ability to make decisions that align with our deeper purpose. You see, when we pause, we create room for insight. The mind is an incredible tool, but it needs time to process, to synthesize information, and to form ideas that can propel us forward. Without pause, we're left with fragmented thoughts, incomplete solutions, and a constant feeling of being overwhelmed. But when we take that step back, when we create that space, our minds can work freely without the constraints of urgency or distraction. We become aware of things we might have missed, subtle details, overlooked connections, and new possibilities that were hidden in the chaos. This is the point where true creativity is born. Creativity doesn't flourish in a rush, it thrives in stillness. Think of the most groundbreaking ideas, the most transformative innovations, the greatest works of art. They didn't come from hurried actions or forced productivity. They came from moments of reflection, from pauses where the mind could wander and explore without pressure. It's in those quiet moments that we tap into a deeper well of imagination where solutions emerge that we never thought possible. Take a moment to consider the most important decisions you've made in your life, the ones that shaped your future. Did they come from a place of rushed action, or did they emerge after a period of reflection? Most likely, those decisions were the result of a pause, whether it was a conscious decision to stop and think, or a natural moment of stillness that allowed the clarity to come. When we allow ourselves to pause, we give ourselves the chance to see the bigger picture. We stop looking at life through the narrow lens of immediate action and start to view it from a broader, more expansive perspective. There's another key benefit of the pause. It helps us connect to our deeper purpose. In the rush of life, it's easy to get lost in the noise, to follow the trends, and to pursue goals that aren't truly ours. We chase what others have defined as success, and in doing so, we lose touch with our own values and desires. But in the pause, we reconnect with who we really are. It's in these moments of silence that we rediscover our passions, our values, and our true goals. We can finally hear our own voice above the clamor of the world. We start to realize what truly matters and begin to make choices that align with our authentic selves. In this sense, the pause is not just a tool for clarity, it's also a tool for growth. It's in these quiet moments that we can learn the most about ourselves. It's easy to get caught up in the external noise and forget that the most important work is the work we do within. When we pause, we give ourselves the opportunity to reflect on our journey, to assess our growth, and to evaluate where we stand. And we can ask ourselves hard questions. Am I on the right path? Is this the life I truly want? What do I need to change to move forward in a way that reflects my true self? Taking time to pause also allows us to avoid burnout. When we constantly push ourselves to do more, to achieve more, we risk losing the energy and enthusiasm that initially motivated us. We become weary, mentally and emotionally drained, and we lose the passion that once fueled our drive. But when we make room for pause, we renew our energy. We give our minds and bodies the rest they need to continue at their best. Without pause, we run the risk of overexerting ourselves and diminishing our ability to perform at the highest level. The power of pause is not about doing nothing. It's about doing something profoundly important. It's about stepping away from the chaos, finding stillness in the storm, and allowing ourselves the space to gain clarity, reconnect with our purpose, and cultivate creativity. It's in these moments that we can gain the perspective necessary to make wiser decisions and move forward with greater confidence. So the next time you find yourself in the rush of life, feeling pressure to act quickly, remember the power of pause. Don't be afraid to stop for a moment. Take a breath, reflect, and allow yourself the time to gain clarity. Because in that pause, you might just discover the most powerful thing you've been searching for all along. In a world that praises constant movement and celebrates those who never seem to stop, the idea of pausing, of taking a break, can seem counterintuitive, even weak. We're taught to hustle, to grind, to push through every obstacle, to always be striving for the next thing. But there's a profound power that resides in pause, an inner strength that comes not from rushing ahead, but from knowing when to stop. Pausing is not a sign of weakness. It's a powerful act of courage and clarity, an essential tool for navigating the complexities of life. To pause is to take control, to acknowledge that we are the ones in charge of our journey, not the pressure of the world around us. When we stop for a moment, when we take a breath and let go of the frantic pace that often consumes us, we give ourselves the opportunity to reconnect with our inner strength. We are often so focused on external validation, on how others perceive us and how we measure up in comparison to those around us, that we forget the most important source of power we have, our own spirit. The pause allows us to return to that place of inner balance, to reset and realign with our deepest values. It reminds us that strength is not about doing more, but about doing what truly matters with intention and purpose. The pause is not a retreat from progress. It is the fuel that powers true progress. We often make the mistake of believing that being busy means being productive, but busyness does not equal effectiveness. In fact, without the pause, we risk falling into the trap of mindless action, moving through life without truly engaging, without truly thinking. When we do not take the time to stop, to reflect, and to gain perspective, we risk making decisions that are impulsive and reactive rather than thoughtful and deliberate. We may push ourselves forward, but we may not be moving in the direction we truly want to go. Sometimes it's in the pause that we find the courage to course correct, to acknowledge that the path we're on may not be the right one, and to adjust before we waste any more time on something that doesn't serve us. There is wisdom in stillness. The world, with all its noise and distractions, may try to convince us that we must always be doing, always be achieving, always be in motion. But in truth, the most powerful decisions are often made in moments of reflection. It's in the pause that we can hear the whispers of our own soul, telling us what we need, what we truly want, and what we must do to achieve it. In these quiet moments, we become attuned to our deepest desires, to our true calling. The noise of the world fades away, and we are left with clarity, with the certainty that comes from within. It is in the pause that we connect with that inner strength that is untouchable by the chaos around us. Taking a pause also allows us to conserve our energy. Life can feel like a constant battle for resources, our time, our energy, our attention. When we keep pushing without stopping, we burn out. We risk depleting ourselves of the very things that make us strong. In contrast, when we pause, we give ourselves the space to recharge, to rest, and to renew. This is not about being lazy or complacent. This is about ensuring that we have the energy and the focus we need to tackle the challenges that lie ahead. Think of the most successful people you admire. They don't run on empty. They understand that balance is key and that rest, reflection, and strategic pauses are just as important as the work itself. A powerful pause doesn't just provide clarity, it also strengthens our resolve. When we stop and reflect on our journey, we gain a deeper understanding of who we are and what we're capable of. In the hustle of everyday life, it's easy to forget how far we've come, how much we've achieved. But when we pause, we gain perspective on our progress. We can take a moment to acknowledge our victories, no matter how small, and celebrate the growth that has taken place. This recognition is vital because it builds confidence. It reminds us that we are stronger than we think, more capable than we realize, and more resilient than we often give ourselves credit for. The pause also offers us the opportunity to let go. Sometimes we become so caught up in our past mistakes, our failures, and our regrets that they weigh us down. We carry the burden of yesterday with us, and it clouds our judgment and stifles our growth. But when we pause, we give ourselves permission to release those burdens, to forgive ourselves, and to move forward with a lighter heart. This is not to say that we forget the lessons of the past, but that we no longer allow them to control our present or dictate our future. In the stillness, we find the courage to let go of the things that no longer serve us, and in doing so, we free ourselves to pursue what truly matters. The pause is also a key element in developing resilience. Life will inevitably bring challenges, setbacks, and obstacles. We will face moments that test our strength, our patience, and our perseverance. But it is in the pause that we gain the perspective we need to rise above those challenges. When we stop and reflect, we gain insight into the situation at hand. We see the problem clearly without the emotional overwhelm that often clouds our judgment. The pause gives us the space to assess the situation, to weigh our options, and to choose the response that aligns with our values. This is resilience, not merely reacting to life, but responding to it with clarity, with purpose, and with strength. Many of us fear the pause because it forces us to confront ourselves. In the stillness, we can no longer hide from our thoughts, our emotions, or our doubts. But this confrontation is not something to be feared. It is something to be embraced. The pause allows us to face the truth of who we are, to understand our weaknesses, and to build upon our strengths. It is in the pause that we truly learn about ourselves and our capacity for growth. We gain the courage to face the truth, to acknowledge where we are, and to move forward with renewed strength. When we pause, we also create space for gratitude. We become more aware of the blessings in our lives, the small moments that often go unnoticed in the rush of our daily routines. Gratitude has the power to transform our perspective, to shift our focus from what we lack to what we have. It connects us to the present moment, reminding us that life is happening right now, not in some distant future. The pause gives us the opportunity to appreciate the journey, to acknowledge how far we've come, and to celebrate the growth that is unfolding within us. In a world that values constant motion, taking a pause is an act of strength. It is an affirmation that we are not slaves to the pressure of the world around us, but masters of our own lives. The pause is not a retreat. It is a step forward, a chance to reconnect with our true selves and to gain the clarity and strength we need to face whatever comes next. Embrace the pause, for it is in those moments of stillness that we find the greatest power within us.